Okay, so now we're going to continue factoring. Each of these has a slightly different situation. So for this one, it doesn't have a coefficient of 1. So there's a couple different ways we can do this, but the first thing we want to check to see is if a common factor can be taken out of those factors. So the factor I see is 2. So we're just going to take a 2 out of all of those. So 2b squared plus 5b plus 6. Then at this point, we can just factor this part the way we did in the last problem. So two numbers that multiply to this and add to 5 would be 3 and 2. So then we can write it like this. 2 times b plus 3, b plus 2. And that is the answer we'd be looking for in the answer choices. Okay, so for 24 and 25, we learned a different method to do these. The method we learned was we would multiply a times c. So in this case, that would be 3 times 4 to get 12. And then we have b, which in this case is 8. We need two numbers that multiply to this and add to this. You could use guess and check. Do you want to show me, or do you want me to show you guess and check?
You can do that
now. The coefficient isn't 1. In this case, we were able to factor out a 2, and we got a coefficient of 1, so we could just find two numbers that multiply to this and add to this. In this case, that doesn't quite work. Actually, let me show you the guess and check, because I think it'll make more sense as to why we do this method. Okay, so for this, we're going to split it into two factors. These first two numbers need to multiply to this. So let's say 3g and g. Now in this case, 3 and 1 are the only factors of 3, so it makes this rather simple. So 3g and g have to be here. And then we need two numbers that multiply to 4 at the end here, but when we FOIL it, it also has to equal this whole thing. So for example, with 4, maybe 4 and 1, and I'm purposely choosing the wrong answer, so if you're writing this, make sure to write it in pencil. Okay, I chose 4 and 1, that would multiply to 4. But when I FOIL this out, I get 3g plus 4g, which is 7, which doesn't equal 8. So these aren't the correct factors. Now I can keep guessing and checking. Maybe the 1 goes here and the 4 goes here. And again, I FOIL it all out. 12g plus 1g, that's 13g. Still not what I need, so this isn't the correct factors. And then until I stumble upon, or maybe I tried it the first time, 2 and 2, and then I get 3g squared plus 6g plus 2g plus 4. Okay, 6g plus 2g equals 8, so therefore these are the two factors that are my answer. And there was a lot of guessing and checking that went on, and that was minimal because this only had two factors. For this one, like 6 has multiple, you could use guess and check, but this method is more consistent.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So when I was in school, I only used guess and check, and it would take a while sometimes to figure it out. I don't know. This is a method I stumbled upon while working with the teachers that work here, and it works pretty consistently. So it depends on kind of what works for your brain. But if you do, you multiply 8 times c to get 12. B is 8. You need two numbers that multiply to 12, add to 8, which would be 6 and 2. Okay.
How did you pick the two numbers that go at the top of the little T-chart?
8 times c, 3 times 4, and b. Okay, so then with 6 and 2, you would take 3g plus 6, 3g plus 2. I don't know if you remember this. And then factor out any common factor within this. So these can both be divided by 3. G plus 2, 3g plus 2. And then that is our answer, the same one that we got here. Yes. If you need to. Otherwise, wait, it's up to you. Okay, so 25, we're going to do it this way. So we're going to make our little t-chart. B is 7, and A times C is negative 18. Two numbers that multiply to this that add to 7 would be 9 and negative 2. So multiply to this, add to this, 9 and negative 2. So I'm going to set it up like 6m plus 9, 6m minus 2, and then factor out anything in common here. So both of these can be divided by 3. So I get 2m plus 3. Divide these both by 2. Get 3m minus 1. And then here are my factors.
I'm gonna need a second.
Okay, I'll pause. Next type of problem changes. We're simplifying radicals. So for 26, we're going to just break up 24 into its smallest factors. Let's see, 4, 6, 2, 2, 2, 3. Then anything that is a pair, we can take out of the radical symbol. So this pair, take it out. Then we're left with just 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So this is as much as we can simplify that.
On the test, is there going to be any like the little 3 on the little step? I'm talking about outside the radical.
I don't think so. No, because I only chose ones that were similar, so I guess you're good. Nope, it won't be there. Okay, so 27 square root of 8 times square root of 6. There's different ways you could do this. I'm just going to combine it. Say, okay, square root of 48, and then simplify it. So 48, 12, 4, 4, 3, 2, 2. Okay, then anything that's a pair I take out. So this 2, this 2. Inside the square root, we just have a 3 left over. So we got 4 square root of 3. I'll do the same thing. I'll just combine it. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 18, 54, I believe. And then break it up. 9 and 6, 3, 3, 3, 2. Then any pair you can take out. So a 3, 12 times 3 would be 36. And then 3 times 2 just stays in. So we're left with that. Okay. Now we have radicals and fractions. When you see this setup, you can simplify it by doing this. And then work with it from there. We don't want to have a radical as a denominator, so what we do to get rid of that is you just multiply by square root of y over square root of y. So I'm multiplying by 1, so that's 18y over square root of y times square root of y is just y. And then I'm going to simplify this square root of 18, 9 and 2, 3 and 3. The 3 I'm going to take out. Same idea, breaking it up into pieces, square root of 5 over square root of 32. I'm going to simplify this 32. Take pairs of 2's and take them out. Then to get this radical gone, we're going to do square root of 2 over square root of 2. And then this just becomes 8. Okay, you ready for the next one? Okay, write a quadratic equation in standard form with the given roots. So with these roots, what you would do is just do x minus 7, x minus 2. Make sure to do minus. Minus is part of the equation. And then FOIL it out. So first, outside, inside, last. Says equation, so put it equal sign equals 0.
So if it were to be -7, would it then be x plus 7, or would it
C.
still be x
Good.
minus 7?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Good job. Okay, next, solve each equation by factoring. So for this, we need two numbers that multiply to this and add to this.
-4, -2.
C. Okay, so then we do x minus 4, x minus 2 equals 0. It says specifically solve for, so we're going to find an actual value for the x's. So you put each of these equal, x minus 4 equal to 0, and x minus 2 equal to 0. So you get x equals 4, and x equals 2. And your answer is 4, 2, or 2, 4, however you want to write it.
So, sorry, going back to 31, so, wait, you said that if it's -7 and -2, it becomes a...
Positive.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for 32, or 33, same thing, we want the factors, and then we'll set each of those factors equal to 0 to solve. We'll notice that we have a coefficient that's not just 1, but all three of these factors can be divided by 5, so we can simplify it that way. I'm going to take a 5 out of everything. And then just factor this, two numbers that multiply to this, add to 7, -7 would be -4 and -3. So 5 minus 4, x minus 4, x minus 3 equals 0. And set each of these equal to 0. So the reason why we ignore it is if you were to like start solving this, you divide both sides by 5. This would cancel, and 0 divided by 5 would just be 0. So it kind of like just goes away.
So when we're done, can I rush?
C. Almost there. Okay, so 34. Solve each equation using the square root property. What we're going to do is we're going to get this all equal to 0. So subtract 1 here, subtract 1. X squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Two numbers that multiply to this, add to this, would be 5 and 3. So x plus 5, x plus 3 equals 0. Okay, so for 35, value of c that makes each trinomial a perfect square, then write the trinomial as a perfect square. Okay, so you're trying to figure out what this value is. There is an equation for this. It's b over 2 squared. So this, your coefficient here would be a, this coefficient is b, that's c. So b is 12. So 6 squared is 36. So we get x squared plus 12x plus 36. So c equals 36. That's part of the answer. And then if you were to factor this out, you'd get x plus 6 squared. That is also part of the answer. Okay, Alright, and last but not least, solve this by using the square root property. We're going to rearrange it so that way it's just equal to 0. And then factor it out. Two numbers that multiply to 40, add to negative 14, x minus 10, x minus 4. And we're done.